58 minutes remained when my father answered the phone. Evie, get everyone out of the house. The words came too fast, too sharp. I heard a chair scrape against the kitchen floor on his end. What happened? Do not ask me that right now. Take Mom, Lily, Hannah, Ryan, everyone. Leave the block. Your mother is still at Mercy South. Of course she was. My mind had split the family into two versions. The one gathered around a hospital bed, and the one preserved inside our house, as if I had left them there and expected nothing to change. Then get Ryan, I said. Call Mrs. Delgado. Call the Robinsons. Tell every person you can reach to leave. Why? Something has been armed beneath the neighborhood. Silence. Not disbelief. My father had spent 15 years waiting for the ground beneath South Deering to reveal what it had buried. What kind of something? Gas lines. Utility controls. We do not know exactly. His breathing changed. South Shore. Yes. How long? I looked toward the glowing countdown on the control screen. 57 minutes and 23 seconds. Less than an hour. My father did not waste another second. I heard the kitchen door open. Then his voice moved away from the phone. Ryan, get your keys. He returned. Where are you? The original Cross warehouse. With him. I looked at Jonathan. He stood beside the console while red emergency light moved across his face. His mother had died less than 3 minutes earlier. His father sat 20 feet away in a wheelchair. Samuel Ortega stood beside Gabriel, still holding his nephew as if 15 years could be repaired through pressure alone. And Jonathan was calling the mayor. Yes, I said. My father understood which him I meant. Stay alive. The line ended. I called Hannah next. She answered on the first ring. Why is Dad shouting about gas lines? Because I called him. Evie, what is happening? South Harbor has an underground system. It is connected to residential utilities. What does that mean? It means you need to move Mom. She just had imaging. They want her here overnight. Then keep her at the hospital. Do not let anyone discharge her. Lock the room if you have to. Where is Lily? With Ryan. No. Ryan brought her back 20 minutes ago. My heart stopped. Back where? To the house. He said she wanted her backpack. Get her out. Ryan is already taking her. In the background, I heard my mother. What is she saying? Hannah covered the phone, but not enough. She says you need to evacuate the hospital. My blood turned cold. What? Mom's voice came closer. The old utility tunnel runs beneath Mercy South. I gripped the phone. Mom, how do you know that? South Shore Fabrication supplied the original pressure lines. Jonathan looked toward me. He had ended his call. The mayor was now shouting orders somewhere beyond us, but the shape of the threat had expanded again. The neighborhood, the hospital, maybe both. How close is the hospital to the South Harbor network? I asked Lila. She began typing. 3.2 miles. That does not answer the question. The current city utility map shows no direct connection. Current map? I repeated. Michael Cross lifted his head from the wheelchair. His voice was weak. The old steam corridor. Everyone turned toward him. He pointed toward the console. Runs west, then north. Jonathan moved closer to his father, toward Mercy South. Michael's eyes struggled to focus. It was a county hospital then. My mother had heard him through the phone. Calumet County Medical, she said. Yes, Michael whispered. Mercy South had been built over an older public hospital. The same neighborhood history kept changing names without changing purpose. Factory became redevelopment parcel. County hospital became private network. Calder became medical recovery. Exploitation became opportunity. But the tunnels remained. Mom, move away from the lower floors, I said. We are on 4. Go higher. The elevators may shut down. Then use the stairs. I am not running within 4. Mom. My voice broke. For 1 second, I was not an analyst. Not the person noticing missing numbers. Just a daughter trying to move her sick mother farther from a threat she could not see. Margaret Hart's voice softened. I am not staying because I am brave. I am staying because the hospital has patients who cannot walk. Of course, she had worked through kidney disease because an elderly woman had no one else. She would not climb to safety while strangers remained in beds below her. You are a patient, I said. I am also awake. That is not the same as responsible. No, I heard her breathing. But responsibility does not disappear because someone puts a bracelet on your wrist. Jonathan watched me. He understood that argument too well. Put Dr. Patel on the phone, I said. She is not here. Find her. Hannah interrupted. I will speak to nursing administration. You handle the neighborhood. Keep Lily away from the windows. She is with Ryan. Keep Mom on 4 until you know the tunnels are clear. I will. And Hannah? Yes. I love you. She went quiet. Do not say it like that. Like what? Like this is goodbye. It is not. Then call me again in 10 minutes. The line ended. 55 minutes remained. The warehouse tunnel filled with voices. Police radios. Utility engineers. Federal agents arriving above us. Lila connected the South Harbor control system to an isolated computer. The transfer screen continued sending data into the buried node beneath my neighborhood. The activation countdown remained centered in red. 55:02, residential clearance protocol armed. Jonathan stood beside Lila. Can you stop the transfer? Not from this terminal. Can you sever the connection? Yes. Do it. Michael's hand lifted from the wheelchair. No, the movement cost him. His fingers shook. Jonathan turned. Why? If you break the line, South Harbor activates alone. It is already activating. Transfer carries command authority. Michael struggled for breath. Cut it now. The node reads loss of control as breach. What happens? Clearance begins early. Lila's hand moved away from the cable. Jonathan looked toward his father. How do we disarm it? 3 manual locks. Where? Michael closed his eyes. The effort of remembering appeared physical. North valve. River gate. Residential manifold. Samuel stepped closer. The manifold was beneath the east floor. My father's voice returned to me through memory. The east processing line. The failed pressure valve. The accident. What is there now? I asked. Lila pulled up the redevelopment map. The former South Shore fabrication parcel had been divided after closure. The northern section became a municipal storage yard. The river frontage became abandoned industrial land. The residential edge had been sold in pieces. Then I saw the third marker. Our house. The Hart property sat directly over the old residential manifold. That was why it carried immediate acquisition priority. Not because our lot had greater market value. Because Marcus needed access beneath our garage. The entrance is under my house, I said. Samuel looked at me. Daniel's garage? Yes. He closed his eyes. Of course. Jonathan's face hardened. Why? Daniel helped Michael seal it. The old metal cabinet. The hidden floor compartment. The control sample. My father had spent 15 years working above the same network he tried to bury. Did he know? I asked. Samuel shook his head. He knew there was a utility chamber. Not what Michael placed inside. What did he place? The last manual lock. The room became silent. 3 locks. 3 locations. 54 minutes. Jonathan turned toward the police captain. Teams to the north valve and river gate. We take the residential manifold. The captain looked at the maps. You are not taking anything. You need someone who knows the property. Ms. Hart can provide the layout. I am going, I said. No, the captain replied. Jonathan and I spoke at the same time. Yes. The captain stared at us. This is an active threat zone. It is my house, I said. That makes you emotionally involved, not operationally useful. I know which part of the garage floor my father repairs every winter because it keeps sinking. The captain's expression shifted. The manifold chamber is beneath that slab, I continued. If your team breaks through the wrong section, you may hit the line you are trying to disable. Samuel pointed toward me. She is right. The captain looked at him. And you are? Samuel Ortega. The name affected every officer who had read the files. A missing worker. A false resignation. A man declared absent by corporate records. And alive in front of them. Samuel continued. The old system uses counterpressure. Damage one line, the others compensate. What does compensation mean? Pressure moves into residential branches. The captain swore quietly. We need utility schematics. There are no accurate schematics, Michael said. He looked toward Jonathan. Marcus changed them. Jonathan's phone rang. The mayor. He answered. What? The voice on the other end was loud enough for me to hear fragments. Citywide emergency management. Gas utility denies control. No legal authority for mass evacuation without verified leak. Press already asking questions. Jonathan's voice became colder with each sentence. 314 houses are connected to an armed industrial protocol. A pause. I do not care what the current utility map says. Another pause. Then issue a fire safety evacuation. He listened. No. Do not mention terrorism. The word moved through the tunnel. Terrorism would bring panic. Panic would lock roads. People would rush home for children, medicine, documents, pets. Some would refuse to leave because they did not trust the government. Others would refuse because evacuation meant exposing immigration status, unpaid fines, or housing violations. Marcus understood communities like mine better than the people who governed them. He knew fear did not always make people run. Sometimes it made them hide. Use a suspected gas main failure, Jonathan said. Send fire crews door to door. The mayor spoke again. Jonathan's jaw tightened. If you need financial authorization for temporary housing, Cross Meridian guarantees it. I looked at him. A week ago, that promise would have sounded heroic. Now I understood the problem. His company had created the threat. His money could pay for hotel rooms. But payment did not turn responsibility into generosity. Jonathan looked toward me while the mayor continued. He saw what I was thinking. This is not charity, he said into the phone. Record it as liability. The distinction mattered. Not enough. But it mattered. He ended the call. 52 minutes. Lila's screen flashed. A city emergency alert was being prepared. Then another window appeared over it. South Harbor Community Safety Notice. Residents are advised to remain indoors due to an external police incident. Shelter in place until further notice. I stared at it. That did not come from the city. No, Lila said. Can they send it? They already are. My phone vibrated. The false alert appeared. Official-looking seal. Local zip code. Instructions to close windows and remain inside. Marcus had anticipated evacuation. He was telling people to stay above the lines he planned to trigger. Block it, Jonathan said. I cannot block messages already delivered. Send a correction. From whom? The city. The city alert system is being flooded with duplicate requests. Marcus was not only using cross-meridian technology. He had access to public warning infrastructure. Maybe through port security. Maybe through cybersecurity contracts. Maybe through every system Jonathan had built and delegated. I called Cameron. He answered immediately. I saw the alert. It is false. I assumed. Most people will not. I am heading to St. Bridget's. Do not take people into the basement. Why? Old utility tunnels. Where do we take them? School parking lot. Open space. Hannah's school. Yes. Buses. I will find them. Evie. What? Reporters are already here. Of course they were. Danger drew cameras faster than help. Use them, I said. For what? Tell every microphone the shelter order is false. Tell people to leave on foot if traffic stops. You want me to make an emergency announcement without city confirmation? Yes. I could cause panic. You could also save them. Silence. Then, what do I say? I look toward the countdown. Say there is a suspected underground gas system failure affecting South Deering. Tell them not to use open flames, not to start vehicles inside garages, and to move toward the elementary school field. Lila looked at me. Vehicle ignition risk is unverified. My father's garage sits over the manifold. If the lines are leaking, yes. Then include it. Cameron repeated the instructions. What about Mercy South? Hospital administration is handling internal movement. Are they? I did not know. Tell anyone near the hospital to follow fire department instructions. Where are you? On my way. Jonathan looked at me. He had heard. You should go to your mother. I am going to my house. Evelyn. Do not. He stopped. Not because he agreed. Because we had made the rule clear. Concern could ask. It could not command. 50 minutes remained. Michael tried to stand. His knees failed immediately. Jonathan caught him. For 1 second, father and son held each other inside a tunnel built from their family secrets. Michael's hand closed around Jonathan's sleeve. You cannot go to South Harbor. Jonathan supported him back into the chair. Why? Marcus needs your authorization. He will not get it. You do not understand. What? The manual locks require cross-biometric confirmation. Jonathan became still. All three. The north valve uses Michael's authorization, Samuel said. The river gate uses mine. And the residential manifold? I asked. Michael looked at Jonathan. Yours. The system had been designed around 3 living people. Michael Cross. Samuel Ortega. Jonathan Cross. 1 engineer. 1 witness. 1 corporate heir. Marcus kept Michael and Samuel alive because the locks required them. He needed Jonathan for Phase 4 and the final clearance system. 3 bodies turned into keys. What happens if 1 lock is not released? The captain asked. The system remains armed, Michael said. Can we destroy the manifold? No, why? It is connected to hospital lines and residential branches. Jonathan looked toward Samuel. You take the river team. Samuel shook his head. I go to Daniel's house. Your authorization is needed at the river. My nephew can carry my pattern. Gabriel looked at him. What does that mean? The trials copied family markers. Naomi had said the system selected people based on neurological resistance. Gabriel was patient 82 because his biology matched Samuel's. The system could perhaps accept him as a substitute. Samuel touched his nephew's face. I am sorry. Gabriel stepped away. For what part? The question carried 15 years. The missing uncle. The erased childhood. The number hidden in his mind. Samuel had no answer large enough. Michael looked toward me. Daniel may carry my pattern. My father. The control samples were used to create emergency substitutions. My father's blood. DH09. He had not only been a baseline. He had been built into the system. The locks can accept related control signatures, Michael said. Then why keep you alive? Jonathan asked. Substitutions decay. What does that mean? Old samples lose integrity. Living patterns remain reliable. People had been preserved because the machinery needed their bodies. Not their consent. Not their memories. Their pulse. Their blood. Their nervous system. The logic of Calder was the purest version of everything Marcus believed. A human being mattered only as long as the system required something from them. Jonathan looked toward his father. You stay with the medical team. No, Dad. The word stopped both of them. Jonathan had not called him that easily before. Michael's eyes filled. You are not strong enough for the north valve. Jonathan continued. I built it. And you can guide the team remotely. Marcus will expect that. He expects us to treat your life as expendable because you already lost 15 years. Michael stared at his son. Jonathan lowered his voice. I will not. The words were not forgiveness. Not yet. They were a boundary against more sacrifice. Michael nodded slowly. Samuel insisted on going. Not to the river. To South Deering. My family is there, he said. Gabriel looked at him. So is mine. The captain assigned teams. Federal agents and utility engineers would take the north valve beneath the municipal yard. A tactical unit would move toward the river gate. Naomi and Michael would guide both through secure communication. Jonathan, Samuel, Lila, 2 engineers, 6 officers, and I would go to the Hart property. Gabriel refused to stay behind. The captain refused to allow him into the chamber. They compromised badly, which was how most urgent decisions worked. He would travel with the team, but remain outside unless needed. 48 minutes. We left the warehouse through the loading entrance. News cameras waited beyond the police line. The moment Jonathan appeared, reporters shouted, Mr. Cross, did your company conduct illegal human testing? Is South Deering being evacuated because of Cross Meridian? Are your parents alive? Did Evelyn Hart influence your decision to suspend the project? My name entered before the endangered neighborhood. Of course it did. A young woman beside a billionaire was easier to package than 314 homes over an armed utility system. Jonathan kept walking. Then one reporter shouted, Did your relationship with Ms. Hart compromise your judgment? He stopped. Lila's face tightened. The police captain urged him toward the vehicle. Jonathan turned toward the cameras. Every microphone lifted. There is no romantic relationship to disclose, he said. The sentence was accurate. It still struck somewhere inside me. Then he continued. Ms. Hart identified financial irregularities my executive team failed to detect. She disclosed her family's property interest. She did not compromise my judgment. He looked toward the cameras. She corrected it. The reporters quieted. Cross Meridian bears responsibility for systems now threatening South Deering. The residents are not beneficiaries of my intervention. They are people my company failed. No legal language. No distance. One attorney stepped toward him. Jonathan ignored him. Leave the neighborhood immediately if instructed by fire or police personnel. Do not follow the shelter-in-place message currently circulating. It is fraudulent. Questions exploded again. Who sent it? Is Marcus Vale responsible? Are residents in immediate danger? Jonathan looked directly into the nearest camera. Yes. One word. No softening. No attempt to protect stock value. Cross Meridian will fund temporary housing, medical care, transportation, and property protection. Those payments are not gifts. They are obligations. Then he entered the police vehicle. I followed. The clip would spread within minutes. Marcus had used public perception against us. Jonathan had finally used his visibility for something other than defending the tower. 46 minutes remained. The drive to South Deering should have taken 35 minutes. Police escorts. Cut it to 18. Sirens moved ahead of us. Rain began again, fine and cold. I watched the city change through the window. Glass towers gave way to brick apartments. Restaurants became repair shops. Corporate logos disappeared. Church signs appeared. The neighborhood south of downtown always seemed to arrive through subtraction. Less light, less investment, less attention. But the people did not become less visible because the buildings grew shorter. Jonathan sat beside me. His phone remained in his hand. Updates arrived every few seconds. Cross Meridian stock down 26%. Federal trading halt requested. Board members demanding his resignation. Victoria unreachable. Marcus's aircraft still missing. Calder East location unknown. His mother confirmed dead after support termination. He read that message twice, then locked the screen. I wanted to say something. Nothing felt honest enough. I am sorry, I said. He looked through the window. So am I. Not I accept. Not thank you. Just shared regret in a vehicle moving toward another emergency. Did you remember her funeral? I asked. Yes. Who arranged it? My father. Was there a body? A closed casket. How old were you? 26. The same age Lila had been when she processed Samuel's file and decided no one would listen. What did they tell you? That treatment failed. That she died during surgery. Did Victoria know? She was 22. Younger than me. Yes. Do you blame her? He answered too quickly. Yes. Then he closed his eyes. No, the correction took effort. I do not know. She helped Marcus. Yes. To keep your mother alive. Yes. That does not excuse what she did. No, but it explains why she thought silence was protection. Jonathan looked at me. You are defending her. I am trying to understand the system. People are not systems. Cameron said the same thing. His expression changed slightly. He had not forgotten Cameron's confession. I had not told him, but perhaps power trained men to hear what remained unsaid. Is he at St. Bridget's? Jonathan asked. Yes. You trust him? Yes. The answer came easily. Jonathan looked back toward the window. He is in love with you. My heartbeat changed. That is none of your business. No, he said it without resistance. Then, more quietly, but it is true. I did not answer. The vehicle turned onto the expressway. Jonathan continued. I am not asking you to explain. Good. I am trying to understand whether he will follow instructions. Despite myself, I almost smiled. He will not. Then I dislike him for practical reasons. That surprised a laugh out of me. It lasted only a second. But in that second, Jonathan looked at me as if the sound had entered a room inside him that had been dark for years. Then his phone rang. Victoria. He answered. Where are you? Her voice came through the speaker. Jonathan, do not go to South Deering. Why? The residential protocol is not only gas pressure. What else? I do not know. Then find out. Marcus compartmentalized the system. You signed continuity orders. I signed medical continuity. Not clearance. You lied to the board. Yes. The admission came without defense. Jonathan's eyes hardened. Mother is dead. Victoria stopped breathing. I know. You knew what he would do. No. You told Evelyn the treatment depended on Calder. It did. And you still left Marcus in control. I thought fear made him predictable. So did I. The shared failure silenced them. Where are you? Jonathan asked. On my way to Mercy South. Why? Marcus sent a transfer order for every neurological patient in the hospital network. Lila turned from the front seat. How many? Victoria heard her. 187. Transfer where? Jonathan asked. Different facilities. No common destination. Phase 4 selection, I said. The hospital algorithm had likely identified candidates. Patients with neurological conditions. Memory disorders. Debt. Limited support. People easy to move under medical authority. Cancel the orders, Jonathan said. I did. Can Marcus restore them? Not through my credentials. Through his? Possibly. Then shut down the transfer platform. That would affect emergency transport across 7 hospitals. Do it. People could die waiting for ambulances. The system had been designed so. Every attempt to stop abuse endangered legitimate care. Marcus hid his weapon inside essential services. Jonathan's voice lowered. Isolate neurological transfers only. I am trying. Do not try. Do it. I touched his arm. He stopped. Not because I had authority. Because he remembered. Ask. Do not turn fear into orders. He looked toward the phone. What do you need? He asked Victoria. The change in language affected her. 15 minutes and Lila's medical system access. Lila opened her laptop. I will connect through the isolated network. Victoria exhaled. Thank you. It may have been the first time they had worked together honestly. Not as siblings protecting a family name. As two people trying to interrupt the machine they had inherited. Victoria, Jonathan said. Yes. Was she conscious at the end? I looked away. His sister's voice broke. Yes. Was she afraid? No, a pause. She said your name. Jonathan closed his eyes. The vehicle continued south. 42 minutes remained. The false shelter alert had already reached most phones in South Deering. Jonathan's public statement reached the news faster, but not everyone trusted him. Why would they? Cross Meridian had sent appraisal agents to their doors. Its models assumed they would surrender. Its contractors had photographed their children. Now its chief executive officer appeared on television telling them to run. From the same company. From the same land project. Trust did not arrive because a billionaire used the correct tone. When we turned onto Commercial Avenue, traffic had stopped. Cars filled both directions. Families loaded bags into trunks. People argued with firefighters. A city bus stood sideways across one intersection, trying to turn toward the evacuation field. Some residents remained on porches. Others filmed everything. Sirens bounced between the buildings. We left the vehicle and continued on foot. The rain had strengthened. Jonathan removed his coat and handed it to an elderly woman wearing only a house sweater. She stared at him, then recognized him. You did this, she said. Not a question. Jonathan nodded. My company did. My husband cannot walk. Where is he? Inside. Jonathan looked toward an officer. Wheelchair team to this address. The woman grabbed Jonathan's sleeve. No. You go. He could have refused. He did not. We entered the house. Her husband sat in a recliner beside an oxygen machine, angry at everyone. I am not leaving. His name was Mr. Robinson. I had known him since childhood. He taught Ryan how to change brake pads and once threatened to call the police when Hannah's first boyfriend brought her home late. Mr. Robinson, I said. He looked at me. Evie, you need to go. I survived Vietnam and 3 heart attacks. This is not a competition. Government says stay inside. False alert. News says leave. Correct. Cross says leave. Jonathan stood behind me. Mr. Robinson looked at him. You are Cross. Yes. You buying my house? No, you were. Yes. The old man studied him. I do not like you. That is reasonable. I am not getting carried out by one of your people. Jonathan moved toward the oxygen tank. Then I will carry the tank. Mr. Robinson looked at me. Is he always like this? I have known him a week. Bad week. The worst. Mr. Robinson allowed the firefighters to move him. Jonathan carried the oxygen tank to the ambulance. No cameras followed us inside. No one outside would know. That made the action matter more. 40 minutes remained. At St. Bridget's, Cameron stood on the church steps with a megaphone. Do not enter the basement. Move toward Burroughs Elementary. Bring medication and identification if available. Do not delay for property. Residents clustered around him. Mrs. Delgado refused to leave without 3 boxes containing her husband's photographs. Cameron carried 2. A teenager carried the 3rd. The city buses were not enough. School vans, church vehicles, delivery trucks. Anyone with space took passengers. The neighborhood built its own evacuation network faster than the official one. Marcus's model expected isolated households. It had never understood porches, church kitchens, borrowed cars. People who knew which elderly neighbor needed insulin and which basement apartment held a family no lease admitted lived there. 82% assumed fear would divide us. Instead, fear created a census more accurate than any corporate database. Cameron saw me. He handed the megaphone to another volunteer and came down the steps. You came? Yes. His eyes moved toward Jonathan. Of course. Jonathan heard him. This time, he did not respond. What do you need? Cameron asked me. Lists. Who has not left? He pulled folded pages from his coat. 47 households unconfirmed. Why? Some phones disconnected. Some residents refusing. At least 12 undocumented families are afraid police will check names. Tell the officers no identification screening. I did. They do not believe you. Jonathan turned toward the police captain. Public statement. No immigration enforcement, no warrant checks, no property code citations. The captain frowned. You cannot dictate police procedure. The city can. Jonathan called the mayor again. Cameron looked at me. He can make one call and change the rules. For tonight. And tomorrow? That depends on whether it is written. Jonathan heard. He spoke into the phone. I want it in the emergency order. Cameron looked away first. Not defeated. Recognized. 38 minutes. We reached my street. The security vehicle from the previous night was gone. Fire engines occupied the intersection. Our house stood with the front door open. The kitchen light remained on. For one irrational second, it looked normal. A place waiting for us to return after work. Then I saw the spray-painted orange mark on the sidewalk. Utility access. Someone had placed it there recently. Maybe lakefront property assessment. Maybe a worker who never knew what it meant. Ryan came from the garage carrying Lily's backpack. He saw me. What took you so long? Traffic. He pulled me into a hug before I could answer. Ryan did not hug often. He held me hard enough to lift my heels from the ground. Then he released me and looked at Jonathan. You. Jonathan nodded. Ryan. My mother may have cancer. My house may explode. And somehow you are still the part of today I trust least. That is reasonable. Ryan stared at him. You need another line. I have had a difficult week. Samuel approached from behind us. Ryan looked at him. The resemblance to old photographs was faint but visible. Samuel Ortega? Yes. My father thought you were dead. So did I some days. Ryan did not know how to answer. Neither did I. Where is Dad? I asked, helping clear the next block. He should be here. He said people needed rides. Of course. My family treated danger as another shift that required coverage. Call him. He left his phone in the truck. I closed my eyes. Where is the truck? Near St. Bridget's. Samuel touched my shoulder. I will find him. You are needed here. So is Daniel. He walked away before anyone could stop him. Gabriel followed. 37 minutes. The garage door stood open. Inside, tools remained exactly where Dad had left them. Mr. Alvarez's truck occupied the center bay. The engine parts. The old steel cabinet. The cracked concrete floor. Home preserved around a hidden mechanism. A utility engineer scanned the slab. There is a void 8 feet down. Entrance, the captain asked. No visible hatch. Ryan pointed toward the hydraulic lift. That post shifts every winter. The engineer scanned again. Metal beneath the base plate. We moved the truck outside. Ryan disconnected the lift controls. Jonathan and 2 officers removed the bolts. The base plate lifted, revealing a circular steel cover set into concrete. No handle. Only a small biometric contact in the center. JDC authorization. Jonathan knelt. The letters carried his initials. His father had built the lock around his identity. How old were you when this was installed? I asked. 34. Did you ever come here? No, my father met yours near the river. Then Michael may have copied my biometric signature from the watch. The same watch used to suppress and later recover truth. Jonathan placed his palm against the contact. Nothing happened. The engineer checked the countdown. 36:14. Why is it not accepting him? Ryan asked. Lila connected the relay key. The panel flashed. Authorization incomplete. Control reference required. My father's blood. DH09. The control sample was being transported into federal custody. Not here. Samuel had said living patterns were more reliable. Daniel. Hart might substitute for Michael. But he was somewhere in the evacuation zone without a phone. Can we use my blood? I asked. Jonathan looked at me. No, you do not know what I am asking. Yes, I do. Genetic relation may work. The system was built before you were an adult. I share half his markers. And we do not know what the scanner does. It reads. Calder devices did more than read. The neuroresponse systems. Dermal arrays. Chemical delivery coatings. The contact might collect or transmit something. Jonathan moved between me and the panel. You are not touching it. The old authority entered his voice. I felt my anger rise. Then he stopped himself. He took one breath. Please do not touch it until Naomi confirms it is safe. Better. Still urgent. Lila called Naomi. Dr. Reed answered from the command center. The residential contact contains 2 needles beneath the plate. Jonathan's expression hardened. What do they deliver? Unknown. Then no one touches it, he said. I already did. He looked at his palm. 2 tiny red points appeared near the center. My heart stopped. What was injected? I asked. Naomi examined the contact design remotely. Possibly a tracer. Possibly a sedative. Jonathan's fingers flexed. I feel nothing. That does not mean nothing entered. Can we test him? Not in the garage. Lila pulled a medical kit from the police vehicle. She cleaned his palm and collected a small blood sample. The countdown continued. 35 minutes. An alert appeared on the panel. Primary subject verified. Jonathan. The first layer had accepted him. Control reference required. My father. The system had been waiting for both families. Can the DH-09 sample be delivered? I asked. The captain checked. Evidence transport is 22 minutes away. Too long. Daniel may work, Naomi said. If we find him, Ryan replied. A firefighter ran toward the garage. Reports of a man refusing evacuation near Avenue L. My father. I knew before the name came. Gray hair? Limp. Yes. Ryan swore. What is he doing? Trying to open a storm grate. Samuel returned at a run. He remembers another access point. Where? Near the old machine shop. That is inside the factory parcel. The North team had already entered the municipal yard. The machine shop lay between their position and the residential line. Why open it? Jonathan asked. Samuel breathed hard. Daniel thinks Marcus sealed someone inside. Who? Samuel looked at me. Kathleen Brennan. The woman who lost her children in her memory for 2 years. Thomas's wife. Declared dead 6 weeks ago. Maybe another false death. The pattern again. Dead on paper. Useful in secret. Mom said Kathleen died. I replied. She was buried. So were Michael and Jonathan's mother. Samuel's face carried terrible hope. Daniel found a current Calder code in Thomas's note. KB03. Control subject 3. If Kathleen remained alive, she might be another living key. Marcus had connected every survivor into the network. The clearance system may require more than Daniel. It may require the entire chain of people who once tried to stop it. 34 minutes. We split, the captain said. One team retrieves Daniel. One checks the storm grate. I go to Dad, Ryan said. I am coming, I replied. Jonathan shook his head. The manifold remains here. It needs Dad. And if the panel begins another sequence. Lila stays. He looked at her. Lila nodded. I can monitor it. Jonathan turned toward me. I am going with you. You may have been injected. Which is why I prefer not to remain alone beside an armed utility system. That was not the entire reason. He did not trust the threat to stay away from me. I did not argue. We moved through the ring. Police had closed vehicle access, so we ran. Ryan ahead. Jonathan beside me. 2 officers behind. The streets looked emptied but not abandoned. Front doors stood open. A child's bicycle lay on one lawn. Groceries remained inside a car with the trunk raised. A television played through an open window. People had left in minutes, carrying what they believed life required. Medication, documents, photographs, children, pets. Everything else waited for the ground to decide whether they could return. At the end of the block, a woman stood on her porch. I am not leaving my cats. A firefighter held 2 carriers. We found both. I have 3. The third cat appeared beneath a parked car. Jonathan dropped to one knee. The animal retreated. He removed his suit jacket and placed it on the wet pavement. I stared. What are you doing? Making a barrier. He and the firefighter guided the cat toward the carrier. The woman watched him. Are you the billionaire? Jonathan looked under the car. Unfortunately. She almost smiled. Then the cat scratched his wrist. He did not react. We secured the animal. The woman entered the evacuation van. 32 minutes. Near Avenue L, we found Dad kneeling beside a storm grate with a tire iron. His bad legs stretched behind him. Water ran across his coat. Ryan grabbed the tool. What are you doing? Dad looked toward Samuel. You found him. Samuel stopped 3 feet away. For 15 years, my father had carried his friend as a ghost. Now neither man knew how to cross the distance. Samuel moved first. He placed one hand against Dad's shoulder. Dad stared at him, then struck him. Not hard. One open palm against the chest. You were alive. Samuel accepted it. Yes. You were alive. I am sorry. Dad struck him again. then pulled him into an embrace. The sound my father made did not belong to language. Grief, relief, anger. All the years he had blamed himself for a man still breathing somewhere beyond reach. Samuel held him. Rain moved over both of them. We allowed them 5 seconds. Then the countdown on my phone changed. 30:47. Dad, I said. He released Samuel. The house panel needs your control signature. His face changed. Michael built it. Yes. Is he alive? Yes. Where? Safe for now. Dad looked at Jonathan. Your father kept Samuel alive. Jonathan nodded. Samuel says your father kept Michael alive too. The two men had protected each other. Not perfectly, not cleanly, but long enough for us to stand here. Why the great? I asked. Dad pointed beneath it. Thomas marked KB03 on the note. This line leads to the old clinic chamber. Kathleen. He told me she died. Maybe she did. Maybe. Hope had become dangerous, but death records had lost all authority. Dad pushed himself upright. I will open the house lock. What about this chamber? Ryan asked. Fire crew can cut the grate. No, Samuel said. It may trigger the north line. The system used counterpressure. Every careless rescue could activate another threat. Dad looked toward the factory. We need the sequence. What sequence? Jonathan asked. The first number. The last number. The living control. Thomas Brennan's note. Marcus knows the first number. Jonathan was never told the last one. Daniel carried a living control. I opened the photograph of the ledger's final page. October 16th. Transfer completed. Samuel Ortega. Michael Cross. Alive. Maybe the last number was not 24. Maybe it was something on the original ledger beneath Jonathan's warehouse. Did the police recover the original ledger? I asked Lila through the phone. Not yet. The warehouse chamber contained a transfer console. We copied part of it before the network moved. Search for clearance sequence. Keys clicked. The rain beat against the phone. 29 minutes. Lila returned. I found 3 fields. Read them. Origin authorization. Final subject count. Active control. Origin authorization is the first number, I said. What is it? Unknown. Final subject count. 212. Naomi interrupted through the call. No. Trial subjects were assigned through multiple phases. Final count may refer to one node. 24, Jonathan said. That is the last number. Then active control is Daniel. Dad looked toward the contact scanner in the distance as if he could see through houses. What is the first number? Marcus knew it. The first government contract. The first property. The first patient. The first building Jonathan bought. 82 had been Gabriel's number, but it served as a bypass. Maybe the original authorization came from the warehouse purchase. I looked at Jonathan. How much did you pay for the first warehouse? He stared at me. What? The exact purchase price. Why? Marcus uses numbers as authorization codes. Jonathan searched his memory. 820,000. 82. Again, not only Gabriel's number. The warehouse price began with it. Marcus had woven the code through events until coincidence became camouflage. What was the contract number for the first government program? I asked. Jonathan removed his phone. Lila searched. Contract CT 0082. 82. Patient 82. 82% acceptance. $820,000. The first number was 82. Marcus knew it because he created the pattern. The first number is 82, I said. The last number is 24, Jonathan replied. Dad touched his chest. Active Control 9. DH09. Sequence. Lila entered it remotely into the residential panel. The screen changed. First authorization accepted. Final count accepted. Control required. Dad began walking toward the house. We followed. 27 minutes. Halfway there, Jonathan stumbled. I caught his arm. He pulled away immediately, not rejecting me, trying to stand. What is it? Nothing. Do not say that. His pupils looked normal, but sweat had appeared along his forehead despite the cold rain. The injection. Naomi, I said into the phone. Jonathan is dizzy. He looked at me. I am not. You just walk sideways. The pavement is uneven. You own a construction company. Find a better excuse. Naomi asked him questions. Nausea? No. Blurred vision? No. Numbness? His right hand. The one he had placed on the scanner. It is spreading up the arm, he admitted. Naomi's voice sharpened. The contact likely delivered a neuromuscular agent. How long? Dose unknown. Treatment. Antagonist depends on compound. Can he continue? No. Naomi and I said together. Jonathan looked toward the house. Yes. Dad stopped. Marcus expected you to use the lock. Jonathan's fingers curled weakly. The injection is part of the protocol. To do what? I asked. Michael answered through Naomi's line. Make him compliant. The residential manifold was not only a lock. It was a preparation point for Phase 4 authorization. Marcus expected Jonathan to enter, receive the chemical agent, and become easier to control before signing. Get him to an ambulance, I said. Jonathan looked at the countdown. 26 minutes. You will not help if you cannot move. The panel already verified me. Then we do not need you. Inside, his face hardened. You do not know that. No, I stepped closer. But I know Marcus wants you beneath that house while the drug enters your system. That reached him. He looked toward his numb hand. For once, protection required leaving. Not staying. Not sacrificing. Allowing other people to continue without him. I will remain at the surface, he said. It was not enough. But it was a beginning. An ambulance crew met us at the house. They placed in 4-line in his left arm and drew blood. Jonathan refused transport. The paramedic argued. Jonathan listened, then asked, Can you treat me here? We need to identify the agent. Naomi is analyzing the blood. Sir, my father and 200 trial subjects were controlled through chemical compliance. I am not leaving the only team trying to stop the same system. The paramedic looked at me, as if I had influence. Maybe I did. That frightened me. You stay in the ambulance, I said. Jonathan's eyes met mine. Door open. Communication line active. You do not enter the chamber. You are giving instructions. I am aware. One corner of his mouth moved. Then asked. I exhaled. Please stay where medical staff can keep you conscious. His expression softened. Yes. No argument. No power struggle. Just agreement. 24 minutes. Dad entered the garage. He removed his coat and rolled up his sleeve. The scanner contained 2 needles. Naomi instructed the engineer to disable the delivery reservoir while preserving the sensor. They opened the panel. A glass cartridge sat behind it. Half empty. The label carried a code. NR4. Naomi saw it through the camera. Neural restraint 4. Antidote. I asked. I developed an antagonist during the original trials. Jonathan heard from the ambulance. Do we have it? Cross-medical discontinued production. Formula. I remember enough. Lila contacted the nearest hospital pharmacy. Mercy South. My mother's hospital. The institution linked to the tunnel. The same place Cross Meridian's denial algorithm had delayed her scan. Now its pharmacy might keep Jonathan conscious. Systems were not good or evil by themselves. They carried the ethics of whoever controlled the next decision. Dad pressed his thumb against the disabled scanner. The panel drew 1 drop of blood. Control verified. DH09. The steel cover unlocked. A circular seam opened around it. Cold air rose from below. The smell was familiar. Oil. Metal. Disinfectant. Our garage had been breathing Calder air for 15 years. A ladder descended into darkness. 22 minutes. The captain ordered gas monitors lowered first. Oxygen safe. No active leak detected. Pressure lines armed, but sealed. I placed 1 foot on the ladder. Ryan grabbed my arm. No, I stared at him. Not you two. You are my sister. And Dad is going down. Dad shook his head. My leg cannot manage the ladder. You know the system. I can guide you. Ryan looked at me. I go. You do not know the models. You do not know pressure lines. I can read the panel. I can carry you if something happens. That is not a qualification. It is more useful than a finance degree underground. He was not entirely wrong. The captain selected 1 engineer, 2 officers, Ryan and me. Samuel insisted. The captain refused because the river gate might still require him. Then the river team reported the biometric lock accepted Gabriel's inherited pattern. Samuel could stay. He descended after us. Lila remained above with Dad, Jonathan, and the command equipment. The ladder reached a narrow concrete chamber beneath the garage. The walls sweated moisture. Old pipes ran in every direction. Some carried city utility markings. Others had no labels. A steel door stood ahead. 82-24-09 glowed across its panel. Ryan looked at me. You enjoy being right too much. Not today. The door opened. A tunnel extended east toward the old factory. Emergency lights activated one by one. Red circles in darkness. The manifold chamber sat 50 yards ahead. We moved quickly. My phone lost signal after 20 feet. A hardwired radio connected us to the surface. Lila's voice filled the tunnel. North team reached the first valve. The federal engineer reported a problem. The valve showed 2 positions. Release. Reverse. No neutral. Michael guided them. Release sends pressure toward river. Reverse sends it residential. They chose release. The river team had not yet unlocked its gate. If north releases early, the river line overloads, Michael said. 3 locks had to move within seconds of one another. Coordination. The system had been designed so no one person could stop it. But Marcus controlled all communications. He turned interdependence into hierarchy. We needed to turn it back into cooperation. Hold positions, Lila ordered. The countdown continued. 1946. We reached the manifold chamber. It was larger than our garage. A circular network of pipes surrounded a central console. 3 main lines entered from different directions. North. River. Residential. The residential line divided into hundreds of smaller branches. Addresses appeared beside each. I saw ours. Then Mrs. Delgado's. The Robinson House. St. Bridget's. Mercy South. Burroughs Elementary. The system did not only target homes. It targeted gathering places. If residents evacuated to the school field, the nearby line could still release pressure. Marcus had predicted community behavior, but not perfectly. The school field itself sat beyond the buried branch. Open air. Cameron had chosen the right place without seeing the map. Can we isolate the hospital? I asked. The engineer examined the console. Not separately. Why? All residential branches share the manifold. A screen showed protocol details. At activation, the system would simulate cascading infrastructure failure. Pressure spike. Electrical ignition triggers. Emergency dispatch interference. Media response templates. Insurance classifications. The disaster already had a story prepared. Aging infrastructure. Unseasonal weather. Resident appliance failures. No single explosion large enough to suggest intent. Dozens of smaller incidents scattered across the zone. An accident statistical enough to avoid investigation. Marcus did not destroy communities through dramatic violence. He used plausible failure. Enough damage to clear the land. Enough confusion to hide the design. Ryan read the screen. He was going to blame people's stoves. Yes. His face changed. Our house too. Yes. The question was not about property. It was about the kitchenware. Our mother made soup. The doorway carrying Lily's height. The garage where Dad rebuilt broken things. The system had assigned each memory an ignition probability. 17 minutes. The central console requested final biometric authorization. JDC. Jonathan. He was above us, being treated for the drug delivered by the first scanner. Can we route his existing verification? I asked. The engineer connected the relay. Handshake incomplete. Why? The manifold needs a live response. A microphone activated. A synthetic voice spoke. Jonathan David Cross. State final authorization. The chamber went silent. It wanted his voice. The drug would make him compliant. The prompt likely expected him to authorize clearance. We needed him to give a different command. What options? I asked. The engineer opened the protocol list. Authorize clearance. Delay. Transfer control. Can he cancel? No, why not? Cancellation was never included. Of course, the system allowed power to act, not surrender itself. Jonathan could destroy, delay, or give control to someone else. Transfer control, I said. To whom? Ryan asked. I looked at the console. The active control was DH09. My father. If Jonathan transferred authority to Daniel Hart, the system might accept him as final operator. The billionaire would have to give control of a cross-meridian network to an injured mechanic whose family it planned to displace. Power reversal. Not symbolic. Literal. Jonathan, I said into the radio. Static. Then his voice. Slower than before. I am here. The drug affected him. Naomi had administered a preliminary antagonist, but it had not fully worked. The manifold needs your final authorization. I will not give it. You have to transfer control. To whom? Daniel. Silence. Above us, Dad heard. No, he said through another line. Why? I asked. I do not want it. That is why it should be you. I do not know the system. Neither did Jonathan when he signed the documents that built it. The words hurt, but there was no time to protect him from facts. Jonathan's voice returned. What happens after transfer? The active control can select release sequence. Can Daniel cancel? No. Then transfer changes nothing. It changes who the system listens to. Marcus may have built rejection conditions. The engineers searched. Control transfer must be voluntary and biometric. Jonathan's voice. Dad's blood. Yes. 16 minutes. Dad spoke through the radio. Jonathan. The use of his first name changed the line. Yes. You came to my house before the accident and told me to close the east line. Yes. I did. I know. I blamed you for 15 years. Jonathan's breathing sounded uneven. You had reason. I blamed you because you were easier to hate than the system. Silence. Dad continued. But the system still carried your name. Yes. You want me to take control of it? No, the honesty surprised all of us. Jonathan continued. I want to end it. Then give it to someone who never wanted it. The moral answer returned. Power belonged most safely with the person least interested in possession. Jonathan spoke toward the console. Transfer control. The system replied. Identify recipient. Daniel Paul Hart. A pause. Recipient control signature verified. Confirm voluntary transfer. Jonathan's voice weakened. I confirm. The console requested. State purpose. He looked toward me through a camera feed. I could see him on the small monitor. Pale. For line in his arm. Right hand trembling. Purpose, he asked. The system expected business language. Continuity. Efficiency. Clearance. What could override that? My mother's words returned. Fix the reason people like me need to know men like you. Public safety, I said. Jonathan looked into the camera. For the protection of residents, patients, workers, and all persons affected by cross-meridian systems. The console processed. Transfer accepted. Final authority, Daniel Paul Hart. My father now controlled the system beneath the neighborhood. The man whose injury had been hidden, whose silence had been purchased, whose house was marked for removal. For one moment, the empire answered to him. 15 minutes. What do I say? Dad asked. The engineer opened the 3 actions again. Clearance. Delay. Transfer. No cancel. But beneath the menu, a maintenance field appeared. Manual pressure. Test. If we enter test mode, activation may pause, I said. For how long? Ryan asked. 5 minutes. Can we repeat it? Unknown. Dad selected manual pressure test. The countdown stopped at 14:22. A new timer began. Test window, 5 o'clock. 5 minutes to coordinate all 3 locks. North team ready. River team ready. Residential manifold waiting. Each had 2 positions. The correct sequence might disarm the pressure. The wrong one might begin clearance immediately. Michael guided us from the surface. North releases first. Samuel interrupted. No. River gate must open before north pressure moves. Michael's voice sharpened. The old system used counterweight. Before Marcus reversed the line. You do not know he did. I worked the east floor after you disappeared. The 2 survivors argued across the radio. One built the system. One lived beside its changes. Both had incomplete truth. I looked at the pressure diagram. North line blue. River line green. Residential red. Arrows changed every few seconds. The transfer from the warehouse was still updating parameters. Marcus could be altering them remotely. We cannot use a fixed sequence, I said. The engineer nodded. We need real-time pressure readings. The system displayed percentages. North 61. River 38. Residential 49. What is safe? I asked. Under 40. Can we lower all 3 together? Not without external vent. Where? The old clinic chamber. KB 03. Kathleen Brennan. The storm great dad tried to open led to a 4th relief line not shown on the main console. Thomas's note contained the missing path. The living control. Maybe Kathleen's code opened an emergency vent. Lila, search for KB 03. I said. Keys clicked above us. Control subject 3. Catherine Brennan. Kathleen. Status deceased. Ignore status. What function? Auxiliary respiratory tolerance. That sounded medical. But inside an industrial system, respiratory tolerance could map to air handling. Search linked infrastructure. Emergency ventilation control. There it was. Kathleen's biometric code controlled the relief vent. If she was dead, We needed her preserved sample. Was KB-03 recovered from North Lake? I asked. Naomi checked. Yes. Blood control. Where is it? In federal transport. How far? 17 minutes. Too late. Any family substitute? I asked. Thomas is dead. Their children. Dad answered. One son in Joliet. Daughter in Arizona. Not here. The relief vent might also accept stored biometric data from Thomas's note or ledger. Did Kathleen's nephew touch the metal box? I asked Dad. Probably. Could the system accept a descendant? Naomi answered. Only if the trial recorded hereditary markers. Like Gabriel. We needed Kathleen's child or grandchild. The nephew. What is his name? I asked. Dad hesitated. Ethan Brennan. Cameron's voice entered through the evacuation line. I know him. Of course. The community connected people faster than databases. Where is he? I asked. He is a paramedic in Joliet. Call him. I already am. The pressure test timer reached 3 minutes. Cameron returned. Ethan is at Mercy South. My heart jumped. Why? He transferred a patient this morning. The hospital, 3.2 miles away, connected through old tunnels. Get him to the old utility access, I said. He does not know any of this. Tell him his Aunt Kathleen may have saved her biometric pattern inside the system. That sentence will not help. Tell him Evelyn Hart says Thomas Brennan left a ledger and South Deering needs him. Silence. Then Cameron said, he is moving. The hospital line appeared on our console. Auxiliary vent offline. Biometric access required. Ethan could perhaps activate it from Mercy South. The system had connected one family's silence to another's survival. Test window, 2 minutes. Can Dad repeat the test? Ryan asked. The engineer tried. Request denied during active test. When the 5 minutes ended, the main countdown would resume. We needed Ethan in place. Cameron remained on the phone with him. He is in the lower service corridor. My mother's voice entered faintly in the background. Turn left after the old laundry room. Mom was guiding him. How does she know? I asked. Hannah answered. She worked here before home care. Of course she had. Margaret Hart knew the hospital's hidden labor spaces. The corridors. Executives never saw. Laundry. Supply. Basement elevators. The infrastructure of care. Ethan reached a locked door. No biometric panel visible. Mom told him to remove a metal sign. Behind it was an old contact plate. KB authorization. He placed his palm against it. Nothing. The test timer reached 1 minute. Blood contact, Naomi said. The scanner needs a sample. Ethan used a lancet from his paramedic kit. 1 drop. The plate activated. Descendant signature detected. Relationship unverified. It needed another confirmation. What did Kathleen call Thomas? Dad asked. No one knew. A personal passphrase. Ethan's voice came through. She called him Red. The system waited. He said, Red. Relationship verified. The relief vent opened. Air roared through the tunnel around us. Pressure readings began falling. North 54. River 32. Residential 43. Still too high. Test window, 30 seconds. River gate open now, the engineer said. The river team moved. Gabriel placed his hand against Samuel's lock. The gate released. River pressure dropped to 19. North release, Michael ordered. The north team turned its valve. North pressure moved toward river. Residential rose. 43. 46. 52. Wrong direction, Ryan shouted. Hold, Samuel said. Reverse north, Michael replied. No. Wait. Residential reached 57. The main test ended. The activation countdown returned. 1421. Residential clearance status changed from armed to primed. We had made it worse. Jonathan's voice came through the radio. Reverse north. Samuel disagreed. If they reverse, pressure enters the old clinic. Vent is open, I said. Not enough capacity. What if River Gate opens fully? It may flood the tunnel. That is better than 300 houses. The engineer looked at the map. If we send full pressure to river, the old underwater outlet may rupture. Will it reach residential lines? No, then do it. The captain objected through the radio. Rupture could release industrial contaminants. Another impossible choice. Homes or river. Immediate lives or environmental damage. Marcus designed every exit to harm someone. Can we capture the discharge? Jonathan asked. No equipment in place. Delay again, Dad said. The system denied a second manual test. Final authority may select one delay. Use it, I said. Dad hesitated. How long? 10 minutes. What happens after? No further delay. Use it. He selected delay. Countdown changed from 1402 to 2400 hours 02. One final extension. 24 minutes. The last number. Marcus had built symbolism into control. The system wanted the operator to feel the boundaries. We had one chance. Outside, evacuation reached 73%. The number appeared on Lila's dashboard. Not 82. Marcus's model predicted 82% would leave voluntarily. But his clearance protocol likely assumed the rest remained. What happens at 82%? I asked. Lila checked the system. Clearance optimization begins. Meaning, it adjusts branch activation toward occupied homes. My stomach turned. The system used utility data, phones, medical devices, and motion sensors to identify who remained. At 82% evacuation, it would target the 18% left behind. The poor, the elderly, the undocumented, the stubborn, the sick, people least able or willing to leave. The number was not only a bypass. It was the threshold where remaining lives became statistically disposable. Stop sending occupancy data, I said. How? Shut off smart meter communication. That affects city monitoring. Do it locally. Jonathan called the utility company. They resisted. Federal agents intervened. The signal went dark across 3 blocks. But Cross Meridian's hospital network still reported devices. Oxygen machines, medical alerts, home care monitors. The same technology meant to protect vulnerable people identified them as targets. Disable cross-health telemetry in the zone, Jonathan said. Victoria answered from Mercy South. That will interrupt remote monitoring. Then send people physically. We do not have enough staff. Use cross-employees. Most are evacuating. Executives. Silence. Jonathan continued. Every executive who approved South Harbor goes door to door. You expect board members to enter the zone? Yes. They will refuse. Then record their refusal. Power used accountability as labor. Victoria began calling names. Some refused. Others arrived because cameras were present. Motives did not matter as much as doors opened. 22 minutes. Naomi identified the agent in Jonathan's blood. A Calder compliance compound designed to reduce motor control and heighten suggestibility. The antidote required 2 medications available at Mercy South. A motorcycle officer delivered them. Jonathan received the first dose inside the ambulance outside our house. His speech remained clear. His right arm did not. He watched our underground camera feed with his left hand gripping the edge of the stretcher. You need the original manifold design, Michael said. Where? I asked. Inside the first ledger. The ledger beneath the warehouse had not been recovered. Marcus may have taken it through the tunnel. But my phone held a photograph of the last page from Thomas's metal ledger. Maybe the handwritten accounts contained pressure payments disguised as numbers. I opened the images I had taken before police sealed it. Pages. Dates. Settlements. Donations. Property codes. One repeated notation appeared beside South Shore entries. R. 3/N. 1/24. River 3. North 1. 24. Sequence. I enlarged it. Beside one entry, Thomas had written, when North lies, River tells the truth. A Union man's note. Or an instruction. North readings are false, I said. The engineer looked at the panel. What? Marcus reversed the sensors, not only the line. The displayed pressure might not match actual direction. Samuel had said the East Floor system changed after Michael disappeared. Michael relied on original design. Samuel relied on lived operation. Both were right about different versions. How do we verify? Ryan asked. Physical gauges. The engineer examined the pipes. Analog gauges sat near each branch. North physical reading, 32. Digital, 61. River physical, 58. Digital, 19. Reversed. Residential physical, 57. Digital, 57. Marcus falsified North and River to make operators choose incorrectly. The real sequence was opposite. Open North to absorb. Reverse River to external relief. Then close residential. But if North pressure was only 32, opening it might safely accept residential overflow. North valve to intake, the engineer said. The North team adjusted. Physical, North rose. Residential fell. 57. 52. 48. River remained 58. Reverse river toward relief vent. Samuel instructed. Gabriel activated the gate. River physical dropped. 49. 41. 36. All three approached safe levels. The system issued a warning. Unauthorized pressure balance detected. Remote override request. Marcus was trying to regain control. Dad's final authority blocked him. Then another message appeared. Override via primary owner. Primary owner. Eleanor Cross. Jonathan's mother. Dead minutes earlier. But on paper, owner of the Calder trusts. Marcus had preserved her biometric credentials. He could simulate her authority. Can we revoke ownership? I asked. Jonathan's voice came through. Not without trust documents. Where? Original ledger. Again. Everything returned to the warehouse. The floor beneath his name. Marcus might be there still, inside a deeper tunnel. Use death confirmation, Lila said. System recognizes her as medically active, Victoria replied. We need her final telemetry. Marcus controlled Calder East. But the phone call had carried medical sounds. Victoria might have recorded the line. Do you have the call? I asked. No, Jonathan's phone does. Lila extracted the encrypted audio. Naomi analyzed the background. Ventilator rhythm. Oxygen alarm. Then flatline. Could the system accept death verification from its own telemetry pattern? She converted the audio into a medical signature. The console requested legal confirmation. Jonathan, as next trust beneficiary. His left thumb against his phone. The system rejected remote input. Physical contact required at Manifold. He would have to come underground. No, I said. Jonathan heard. It needs me. You are drugged. The antidote is working. You cannot move your right arm. I only need my left hand. Marcus expected this. Yes. That does not mean you follow the path. No, his voice remained calm. But this is the only action that removes my mother's authority from him. I wanted to refuse. I had spent the entire week challenging his instinct to sacrifice himself. But there was a difference between sacrifice and responsibility. He was not going below to surrender. He was going to remove stolen power from Marcus. Medical officer goes with you, I said. The captain agreed before Jonathan could respond. 10 minutes later, he descended the ladder. The final delay countdown showed 11 minutes. Jonathan entered the manifold chamber pale but upright. His right arm remained in a sling. A paramedic followed. He looked at the walls of addresses. The branches attached to homes, schools, the hospital. His company had built a map where every life became a control point. He moved toward the console. The system spoke in his mother's recorded authorization voice. Continuity must be preserved. Jonathan stopped. The voice was synthetic, but built from her. A mother turned into a command. His face changed. I stood beside him. That is not her. I know. Her last choice was not continuity. He looked at me. She told you not to come. Yes. She wanted you free. His left hand trembled. Not from the drug. From grief. He placed it against the panel. I remained close enough to catch him, but did not touch. The system scanned. Primary heir verified. Confirmed death of origin owner. Jonathan looked at the audio signature. His mother's last breath converted into proof. He pressed confirm. Origin owner status. Deceased. The words became official decades after the first funeral. Not because a false certificate said so. Because her life had actually ended. Jonathan closed his eyes. The system continued. Transfer trust authority to primary heir? If he accepted, he would own Calder. All of it. The patents. Facilities. Patient records. Hidden money. The power Marcus had protected. Accept, Lila said. We need authority to stop the override. Jonathan looked at the screen. To destroy the system, he first had to inherit it. That was how corrupt structures survived. They forced reformers to become owners before allowing change. Can he transfer immediately? I asked. To whom? The engineer replied. The government? A court? The patients? No legal entity existed yet. If Jonathan refused, Marcus retained access through older continuity paths. If he accepted, the world would say Calder belonged to him. Both were dangerous. Accept temporarily, I said. Jonathan looked at me. Then place it into independent custody. Trust records will show I owned it. You already benefited from it. The truth hurt. But hiding from ownership would repeat the same failure. He pressed accept. Trust authority transferred. Jonathan David Cross, primary owner. The system unlocked new controls. Cancel residential clearance appeared. For the first time, cancellation existed. It had always existed. Only the owner could see it. Marcus kept lesser operators trapped among harmful options while preserving a safe exit for himself. Jonathan pressed cancel. Authorization requires 2 witnesses. Names appeared. Michael Daniel Cross. Samuel Rafael Ortega. Both alive. Both connected remotely through medical and river teams. Michael placed his hand on a secured scanner above. Samuel used the relay linked through Gabriel's gate. First witness confirmed. Second witness confirmed. The countdown stopped at 8:17. Residential clearance canceled. No one moved. The words remained. Canceled. Not delayed. Not transferred. Ended. The pipes around us released pressure slowly. Physical gauges fell below 20. The branch lights switched from red to green. The hospital line stabilized. 314 addresses remained intact. Our house did not explode. Mrs. Delgado's photographs remained above her fireplace. Mr. Robinson's oxygen machine waited beside his chair. Lily's height marks stayed beside the kitchen doorway. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. Ryan sat down on the concrete floor. The engineer leaned against a pipe. An officer whispered something that sounded like a prayer. Jonathan removed his hand from the panel, then collapsed. I caught his shoulders before his head struck the console. Jonathan. His eyes remained open but unfocused. The paramedic moved beside us. Pulse slow. The compliance agent. The stress. The antidote. Grief. Everything his body had been ordered to survive. We lowered him to the floor. Jonathan, look at me. His eyes found mine. Barely. Canceled, he whispered. Yes. The houses. Safe. Hospital. Safe. He tried to smile. Good. Then his eyes closed. The paramedic injected the second medication. I held Jonathan's left hand. Not because he owned the city. Not because he had saved the neighborhood. He had helped repair harm his own company created. That was responsibility, not heroism. I held his hand because he was a human being lying beneath my family's home. And for 7 days I had watched him learn that power did not protect anyone from being breakable. His pulse strengthened. The paramedic nodded. He is responding. Above us, cheers moved through the radio. Fire crews received the all clear. The city canceled evacuation expansion. Hospital transfers stopped. The false shelter alert was formally identified as fraudulent. People were alive. The crisis was not over. But the countdown was. When Jonathan regained consciousness, he was inside the ambulance outside our house. I sat beside him. Rain tapped against the roof. His right arm remained numb. His eyes opened slowly. Where? South Deering. I know that. Ambulance. I gathered. You are difficult even when drugged. Was I unconscious? 7 minutes. His face tightened. Marcus. Gone. Network. You own it. That brought full awareness back. He tried to sit. I stopped him with one hand against his shoulder. Do not. He looked at my hand. Then at me. I removed it. Please do not sit up. Better. You are enjoying this. Not remotely. He lay back. What did we recover? Trust authority. Facility references. Patient selection data. Enough for federal preservation orders. Calder East. Still hidden. My father. Waiting to see you. His eyes closed briefly. And Samuel? With Gabriel and my father. Your mother? The question was about mine. Stable. Mass needs biopsy. I am sorry. I know. Outside the ambulance, residents began returning only to the school field, not yet to homes. The all-clear required line inspection. News cameras filled the edges of the block. Cross Meridian's board had called another emergency session. Federal agents requested Jonathan's immediate statement. The world had resumed asking things from him before his body could lift itself. You should go to the hospital, he said. So should you. I will. That sounded dishonest. It was incomplete. Meaning, I need to speak to my father first. Michael waited inside our kitchen. The symbolism felt almost cruel. Jonathan's father had disappeared into Calder after trying to protect patients. Now he sat at the table where Jonathan once warned Daniel Hart about the East Line. The table where our family ate soup. The room where 2 histories kept meeting. We helped Jonathan from the ambulance. He refused a stretcher but accepted my shoulder for the walk. That compromise mattered. Inside, Michael sat beside Dad. Samuel occupied the chair near the window. Ryan leaned against the counter. Gabriel stood behind his uncle. No one spoke when Jonathan entered. Michael looked at his son. Jonathan looked back. 15 stolen years stood between them. Not empty. Stolen. Filled with treatments, lies, graves, board meetings, birthdays, and a company growing above everything neither man could say. Jonathan sat across from him. What happened to Mother? Michael's face broke. I failed her. That is not an answer. No, the same correction. He had taught Jonathan more than business. He had taught him silence too. Michael tried again. She volunteered for the first censor trial. Why? Your sister was sick. Victoria. Jonathan stared. What illness? Seizures. When she was 19. Publicly, Victoria had taken a leave from college. Privately, the family sought experimental treatment. The censors were supposed to predict neurological episodes, Michael said. Your mother believed the research could help. Did it? At first. Then. The coding caused inflammation. Memory changes. Motor loss. You declared her dead. I hid her. You let me bury her. Michael looked down. Marcus said public exposure would terminate treatment and destroy the company. And you believed him? Yes. You chose the company. No, Michael's eyes lifted. I chose your mother. Jonathan's mouth tightened. The result was the same. The sentence cut through every family in the room. Private love could still produce public harm. Good motives did not erase consequences. Michael nodded. Yes. Jonathan looked toward Samuel. And him. Samuel saw the subjects, Michael said. He found the hidden equipment after the pressure failure. So you took him to Calder. To treat his injuries. Then kept him there. Marcus did. You continued working with Marcus. To keep Samuel and your mother alive. And the other patients? Michael closed his eyes. I told myself I would help them later. Vossett said the same thing. Survival leaves room for justice later. Later became 15 years. Did you know they treated me? Jonathan asked. Michael's face emptied. Yes. Did you allow it? No. Did you stop it? No. Why not? They had already injected you when I reached the room. What did you do? I copied the program keys into your watch. The gift. The hidden signature. I believed you would remember enough to return. I remembered nothing. I know. You watched me build Cross Meridian with Marcus. From inside Calder. You could contact Victoria. She knew how to reach me through treatment channels. But not me. Marcus monitored you. Jonathan laughed once. There was no humor in it. He stood beside me every day. Michael's eyes filled. I thought distance kept you safe. Jonathan looked toward me. My father had used the same logic. Silence. Distance. Protection. Every parent in the room had tried to save a child by removing truth. The result placed all of us above armed pipes. Jonathan turned back to Michael. You do not get forgiveness because you suffered. I know. You do not get to call this protection. I know. You do not get to disappear again. Michael's breathing stopped. The final sentence was not anger. It was the first demand of a son. Stay. Face it. Live long enough for consequences. Michael nodded. I will not. Samuel looked toward Dad. Neither spoke. They had their own version of the same promise. Outside, someone knocked. Lila entered. Her face was pale. What happened? Jonathan asked. Federal agents secured the Calder Trust servers. And the system contained a live facility directory. Calder East. Yes. Everyone stood or tried to. Where? Jonathan asked. Lila looked toward Michael. Then Samuel. Not outside Chicago. She placed a map on the table. Mercy South appeared at the center. My mother's hospital. A red outline covered the oldest wing. Calder East is beneath Mercy South. The room went silent. The old county hospital tunnels. The neurological transfer orders. Jonathan's mother's treatment. Everything had been under the hospital where my mother now waited for a biopsy. Is it active? I asked. Yes. How many patients? 41 registered. Michael and Samuel were moved from there this morning. Yes. Who remains? Lila's eyes met mine. Patient selection cohort. Phase 4 candidates. The transfer orders Victoria stopped may have been intended to fill it. But existing patients were already below. Security? Jonathan asked. Cross Meridian Hospital Protection Services. His own company. Again. Marcus? I asked. Lila shook her head. No confirmed location. Then another line appeared on the map. A signal pulsed beneath the renal imaging department. Directly below my mother's room. My phone rang. Hannah. I answered. Her breathing was frantic. Evie, Mom is gone. The kitchen disappeared around me. What? A nurse came to take her for the biopsy consultation. There is no biopsy scheduled until tomorrow. I know that now. Where did they take her? The service elevator. The same lower corridor Ethan Brennan had used to open the relief vent. Calder East. My mother had not been selected because of her kidney mass. She had been identified long before. Insurance denial. Incomplete tests. Financial strain. Home care employment. Family connection to Daniel's control sample. Margaret Hart was not only a patient. She was leverage. Again, what did the nurse look like? I asked. I do not know. Mid-30s. Dark hair. Hospital badge. Security cameras? They say the system is down. Of course. Jonathan was already standing. The paramedic objected. He ignored him. I looked at the man who could barely move his right arm. No, his eyes met mine. Your mother. I know. I am. Coming. You were drugged. And Calder East recognizes my authority. You just inherited the trust. Yes. He wants you there. Probably. The same trap. New location. New beloved person. Marcus believed we would repeat the pattern forever. Choose one life. Enter the system. Surrender authority. Protect privately. Remain silent publicly. I looked around the kitchen. Michael. Samuel. Daniel. Ryan. Gabriel. Jonathan. Every man carried years of decisions shaped by the same fear. Then I looked at Lila. What does the trust authority allow? Full owner access. Can Jonathan transfer it again? Yes. To whom? Any verified person. The answer became clear. Marcus expected Jonathan to enter Calder East as owner. So Jonathan could not remain owner. Transfer it, I said. He looked at me. To federal custody? No, then who? The patients. Lila stared. There is no legal patient entity. Create one. That requires documents, trustees, acceptance. Cross Meridian has attorneys. Not in minutes. Cameron's voice came from the doorway. I know nonprofit emergency trust law. He had arrived without anyone noticing. His coat was soaked. A bruise darkened near his mouth. You cannot create a complete patient trust immediately, he continued. But you can execute a temporary irrevocable transfer to an independent receiver. Who? Jonathan asked. Cameron looked at me. Not himself. Not Jonathan. Dr. Naomi Reed. The scientist who exposed trial failures. The woman silenced by Jonathan's settlement. A person with expertise and direct knowledge of the harm. Naomi joined through video. When asked, she remained silent for 3 seconds. Then, I accept temporary authority solely for patient protection and evidence preservation. Cameron drafted the emergency instrument. Lila verified signatures. Jonathan used his left thumb. Michael and Samuel witnessed. In less than 6 minutes, Calder stopped belonging to the Cross family. The trust transferred to Dr. Naomi Reed as independent medical receiver. Not forever. Long enough to prevent Marcus from demanding Jonathan's owner authorization. Power left his hands. He did not resist. That was the clearest evidence of change I had seen. Naomi accessed Calder East. The hospital map opened. 41 patients. For medical staff, 12 security contractors. 1 active transfer. Margaret L. Hart. Destination, assessment room 3. Status, conscious. My knees weakened. Conscious. Alive. Naomi opened the audio channel. Static. Then my mother's voice. I told you I did not consent. A man answered. Mrs. Hart, this is a medically necessary evaluation. No. Medically necessary people explain themselves. Even underground, surrounded by strangers, Margaret Hart remained Margaret Hart. I moved close to the speaker. Mom. Silence. Then Evie. I am here. Where? Home. Good. Are you hurt? No. Can you see an exit? A metal door. 2 men. A security officer shouted for her to stop speaking. Naomi locked the assessment room controls remotely. The men tried the door. It would not open. You are safe for the moment, I said. I know. How? Because you found me. My throat closed. Jonathan stood beside me. My mother continued. Do not trade anything for me. She understood the pattern. Mom, I mean it. We transferred Calder authority. To whom? Dr. Reed. A pause. Good. No surprise that I knew a biomedical engineer now. Our family had moved beyond surprise. Federal agents prepared to enter Mercy South through the old laundry corridor. Hospital administration denied knowledge of the lower facility. Some were lying. Others truly did not know what existed beneath their floors. Compartmentalization again. No one division saw the whole. Naomi unlocked patient rooms, but sealed external transport exits. Calder East entered medical receiver mode. Security contractors lost digital access. Some surrendered. Others moved toward manual controls. One override remained. Local founder key. Michael looked at the code. My key. Can Marcus have a copy? Jonathan asked. Yes. The facility alarms activated. A local founder key had entered Calder East. Marcus was beneath Mercy South. He had not fled Chicago. He had moved through the tunnel network. Always under us. Always inside systems built to remain unseen. My mother's audio line cut. The map showed assessment room 3 unlocked. Not by Naomi. By founder override. Margaret's signal began moving toward the deepest part of Calder East. Jonathan looked at me. This time, he did not tell me to stay. He asked, "Will you come?" The question held everything we had fought over. Authority. Fear. Choice. I looked at my father. He understood. Go. Ryan reached for his coat. So do I. Dad shook his head. You stay with the neighborhood. Ryan opened his mouth, then stopped. For once, staying was not weakness. The returning residents needed someone who knew every street. Michael could guide federal agents through Calder architecture. Samuel and Gabriel could identify patient systems. Cameron would complete the trust documents. Lila would preserve evidence. Everyone had a role. Mine led beneath the hospital. Jonathan held out his left hand. Not command. Invitation. I took it. We left the house at 9:41 that night. 20 minutes after saving South Deering. Less than an hour after Jonathan woke from chemical compliance. 7 days after I entered the wrong elevator. The neighborhood remained alive behind us. People stood beneath umbrellas at the school field. Firefighters checked homes. Children slept in buses. Mrs. Delgado guarded 3 boxes of photographs. Mr. Robinson complained about the oxygen tank Jonathan had carried. The city had not been saved by one billionaire. It had been saved by residents who knocked on doors, workers who remembered old tunnels, doctors who refused silence, lawyers who wrote faster than fear, and families who finally stopped keeping secrets from one another. Jonathan and I entered Mercy South through the service corridor. No cameras, no board members, no marble lobby, only concrete walls, old pipes, and the hum of a hospital caring for people above a hidden facility built from their vulnerability. The elevator behind the laundry room required no cross-authorization now. Naomi controlled it. The doors opened. We descended. 1 floor. 2. 3. Jonathan's right hand remained numb. My mother's signal moved deeper below us. Marcus waited somewhere ahead. He had lost Calder ownership. Lost South Harbor. Lost Jonathan's mother as leverage. Lost the residential protocol. But he still had Margaret Hart. He still had the founder key. And people like Marcus did not need to own the whole system. They only needed one person someone else could not bear to lose. The elevator stopped. The doors opened onto a white corridor. At the far end, my mother stood beside Marcus Vale. His hand rested lightly on her shoulder. Not violent. Not necessary. The founder key in his other hand was enough. Behind them, a glass wall revealed 41 occupied hospital beds. Patients who had officially never arrived. Marcus looked at Jonathan, then at me. You canceled the wrong countdown. A new timer appeared above the patient ward. Phase 4 clinical release. 29 minutes and 59 seconds. 30 minutes. My mother looked at me. Her face was pale. Her hospital gown hung beneath an open cardigan. But her eyes were steady. Marcus smiled. Let us see which family learns from history first.